My wife cheated with her gym trainer while I was working overtime to buy her a car, so I took everything and left without saying goodbye. I'm a 32-year-old guy, and I used to believe I had a good marriage. Vanessa and I had been together for 5 years, and to anyone on the outside, we looked solid, happy, stable, even a little boring. But I didn't care. Boring was safe. Boring was love, right? She always talked about this red convertible she wanted, not in a materialistic way, more like a little dream she never thought she'd actually have. I remembered the way her eyes lit up when she saw one drive past us once. She even whispered, "One day." That stuck with me, so I decided to make that one day happen. I picked up every extra shift I could get, worked 12-hour days, 6 days a week, skipped out on beers with friends, missed birthday dinners, didn't even see my parents much. Every dollar I saved, I moved quietly into a separate account. I didn't tell her. I wanted it to be a surprise. I wanted her to feel seen, to feel spoiled. She started complaining, though. "You're never home anymore. I feel like I'm dating a ghost. Even when you're here, you're not really here." I tried to reassure her. "It's just a phase, babe. I'm grinding for us. It'll all be worth it." She nodded, smiled even, but it never quite reached her eyes. I chalked it up to temporary strain. I told myself all couples go through dry patches, that she was just lonely, not resentful, not drifting. What I didn't realize, what I couldn't let myself imagine, was that while I was working overtime to give her a dream, she was busy building a secret life without me. But I wouldn't find that out until it was too late. It was little things at first. Vanessa stopped reaching for my hand when we sat on the couch. Her kisses got shorter. Her laugh didn't come as easily. She was always scrolling through her phone, fingers moving fast like she didn't want me to see what she was typing. I tried not to overthink it. I figured maybe she was just stressed. Everyone has seasons, right? Maybe I was overworking. Maybe I'd pulled away too far and didn't realize it. I blamed myself. She said she'd been hitting the gym more often, said she was finally focusing on her body, her inner power. I actually felt proud of her for it. I was happy she was finding something that made her feel confident. She'd come home flushed, hair tied up in a messy ponytail, water bottle in hand, talking about yoga or HIIT or some new stretch routine. I'd smile and ask how it went. "It was good," she'd say, then disappear into the shower. I should have seen it. The signs were there, blinking in neon. She stopped asking me about my day, stopped waiting up for me when I got home late. Meals turned into microwaved leftovers with sticky notes on top. "Sorry, ate earlier, love you." But I kept my blinders on. I told myself she was just growing, evolving, that maybe I needed to catch up to her. I even started going to bed earlier, just so I could lie next to her for a few minutes before she fell asleep with her back to me. Meanwhile, I kept stacking overtime hours, chasing this dream I thought we both wanted. What I didn't realize was that somewhere along the way, I became background noise in my own marriage. The gym became her new obsession. She'd go 4, sometimes 5 times a week. At first, I admired her discipline. She was always talking about how strong she felt, how centered it made her. I even encouraged it, told her I was proud of her commitment. But then the gym trips got longer. She'd say she was staying late to cool down in the sauna, or that she and a few of the women were grabbing smoothies afterward. Once, she came home almost 2 hours after she said she'd be back. I asked if everything was okay, and she barely looked at me when she said, "Just traffic, except the gym is only 10 minutes away." Then I noticed the scent. Her gym bag smelled like cologne, something woodsy like sandalwood and spice. I mentioned it casually. "Hey, your bag smells kinda masculine." She laughed and waved me off. "Oh, probably just brushed past some sweaty guy in the locker hallway. It's co-ed, remember?" I nodded, but something twisted in my gut. Still, I didn't press. I didn't want to seem jealous or paranoid. I'd always trusted Vanessa. She knew my deepest insecurities, my childhood abandonment issues, and how hard I worked to not be that guy, the controlling, insecure husband. So I pushed it down, swallowed it whole. The next time she went out, I stayed home and opened a beer. sat in silence and stared at the wall, wondering if I was imagining things. Wondering if maybe I was the one pulling away and she was just reacting. But that feeling, the one you try to ignore because it's too painful to confront, it started creeping into everything. And once that seed of doubt is planted, it doesn't stop growing. A week later, I was having lunch with my buddy Eric. We've known each other since high school, the kind of friend who tells it straight even when you don't want to hear it. He was scrolling through his phone when he suddenly paused and said, "Hey, isn't Vanessa going to that Fit Zone gym over on Main?" "Yeah," I said, sipping my coffee. "Why?" "I saw her there last week, with some dude. Looked cozy. I thought he might be her trainer or something, but they weren't exactly keeping it professional." My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" He shrugged. She had her hand on his arm, laughing at something. He touched her lower back while walking her to her car. Just looked familiar. Not like trainer-client stuff. I forced a laugh. "She's just friendly. That's probably her trainer, yeah. You know how she is." Eric gave me a look. The kind that says, "Dude, I'm not trying to start anything, but you should open your eyes." The rest of the lunch felt like background noise. My thoughts were racing, but I kept my expression still. I didn't want to believe it. Not from Vanessa. Not after everything we'd been through. We weren't perfect, but cheating. That wasn't her. Right? That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her laughing with some faceless guy. I started second-guessing every smile, every gym trip, every excuse. Was I in denial, or just trying to preserve the illusion? I laid there, staring at the ceiling fan spinning above us, listening to her breathe peacefully beside me. And that was the night I realized something was happening behind my back. I just didn't know how deep the betrayal ran yet. It was a Friday night when it finally hit me. I got off work early for once. No overtime, no last-minute requests, no excuses. I was tired but excited. I thought maybe I'd surprise Vanessa, take her out for dinner. Maybe we could reconnect. When I pulled into the driveway, her car wasn't there. I figured she was at the gym again. But when I stepped inside, I noticed something odd. Her gym bag was in the hallway, shoes kicked off, towel hanging on the back of the door, phone charger still plugged in, but no Vanessa. I sat on the couch, confused, trying to piece it together. Maybe she took an Uber. Maybe she went out with a friend? My mind was doing backflips to protect me from the obvious. Then I remembered, years ago we synced our phones with Find My iPhone after she lost hers at a concert. We'd both forgotten about it, or at least she had. I opened the app. Her location pinged 10 miles away. A hotel. One of those budget suite type places right off the highway. I stared at the screen, hoping it was a glitch. Refresh. Still there. I zoomed in. The pin was steady. I just sat there. My hands went numb. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just felt this hollow cold spread through my chest like black ice. I didn't go there. I didn't drive to catch her. I didn't want drama. I didn't want confirmation I couldn't unsee. I just sat there. For hours. The woman I'd been building a future with was spending her evening in a hotel room, and I wasn't the man she was meeting. That was the night something inside me finally broke. I didn't sleep that night. Just lay there on the couch staring at the ceiling, mind spinning in circles that never ended. By morning, I felt numb. I wasn't even angry. Not yet. Just detached. Like watching someone else's life fall apart. That Saturday, I told Vanessa I was going into work. She barely looked up from her phone. Just said, "Okay, babe," and gave me a distracted smile. But I didn't go to work. I parked down the block and waited. At 10:11 a.m., she walked out in her tight gym leggings and favorite hoodie, hair in a loose ponytail, earbuds in, confident, calm. No idea I was watching her from 2 cars back. She drove to the gym, but didn't go inside. She parked, got out, and walked straight to a tall, muscular guy waiting near the entrance. Mid-30s, tank top, arms like he lived at the squat rack. Her trainer, maybe? She smiled at him in a way she hadn't smiled at me in months. Then she hugged him. Not a quick, friendly hug. Not something you'd give your coach. It lingered. His hand brushed the small of her back. She tilted her face up like she was about to kiss him, but turned at the last second. Still, it wasn't innocent. I stayed in the car, frozen. My palms were sweating. My jaw clenched so tight it hurt. But I didn't move. They talked for a bit, laughing, then walked inside together. She never looked back. That was the moment I knew. It wasn't emotional distance. It wasn't growing apart. It was betrayal. Slow, calculated, and real. I drove home like a ghost, parked in the same spot, walked into the same house, and slept next to her that night, like nothing had changed. After that day, everything looked different, but I kept pretending. Pretending I didn't know. Pretending I was still the clueless husband working long hours to build us a better life. Pretending the woman beside me hadn't already given herself to someone else. I still went to work. Still cooked dinner. Still kissed her on the forehead when she yawned and said she was heading to bed early. The routine stayed the same, but the meaning behind them had rotted. I wanted to scream every time I saw her smile at her phone. Wanted to ask who she was texting. Wanted to grab her by the shoulders and shout, "How could you?" But I didn't, because I wasn't ready to blow everything up just yet. Instead, I studied her. I watched her patterns, her gym days, the times she'd come home humming to herself, flushed and glowing. The way she always said, "Love you," a little too quickly when I handed her coffee in the morning, like it was a script she was racing to finish. She was cheating on me. While I was breaking my back trying to give her the car she dreamed of. And somehow, she still had the audacity to act like I was the problem. Like I had emotionally checked out. Like all this was just me being too busy, too distracted. But here's the thing. I stopped crying over her the night I tracked her to that hotel, and that was the night I started planning my exit. Because if she could play me in silence, then I could burn it all down without making a sound. They say the best revenge is served cold. I didn't realize how true that was. Until I started packing my revenge one quiet piece at a time. First, the money. I opened a new checking account in my name only. No shared access, no paper trail. Transferred small amounts at first. Just enough to go unnoticed. Then I rerouted my direct deposit. She thought I was still killing myself with overtime, but that money wasn't going to us anymore. It was going to me. Next, I canceled the car order. I had put down a deposit on the red convertible she always gushed about, the one she said would make her feel alive again. I called the dealer, canceled the order, and got my deposit refunded. They asked if something had changed. I smiled and said, yeah, I changed. At home, I started watching her with new eyes. Not with love, but with calculation. She was careless now. Bold. One night, she took a call in the kitchen and lowered her voice when I walked in. I just gave her a kiss on the cheek and grabbed a soda. From the fridge, she had no clue I was dismantling everything behind the scenes. I contacted a divorce lawyer. Quietly. I told him I wasn't ready to file yet, but I needed to know my rights. What I could take. What I could protect. He said with the right timing and enough documentation, I could walk away clean, maybe even with more than my fair share. I wasn't just going to leave her. I was going to leave her with nothing. And the best part? She wouldn't see it coming, because I still kissed her goodnight like everything was fine. One night, curiosity got the better of me. She left her laptop open on the dining table while she showered. Normally, I wouldn't snoop, or at least I wouldn't admit to it. But something told me to look, not to find proof. I already had that. I needed to know how far it went. I opened her email. It didn't take long to find it, a draft tucked inside a folder labeled Personal Notes. The subject line? What I need to say, eventually. My heart was already pounding when I clicked it open. Inside was a letter. Not to me, about me. She was planning to leave me, not because she was in love with the guy from the gym. Not because I was cruel or abusive, but because she felt suffocated. because I worked too much, because she couldn't wait around for a life that never came. She wrote about how she'd grown, how she was finally ready to choose herself, how she wanted to start fresh, maybe in another city. She even mentioned the car. I think once he gives me the car, I'll finally have the freedom I need. That sentence broke something in me. She was waiting, timing it, letting me finish my performance so she could collect her reward and walk. I closed the laptop and walked back to the couch like a sleepwalker. She came out of the shower minutes later in her robe, smiling, towel drying her hair. "Want to watch something?" she asked. I nodded, but in my head I wasn't just hurt anymore. I wasn't even angry, I was focused. She thought she was playing me. But she had no idea I had already flipped the script. It was a Thursday night when I hit bottom. I came home from work, expecting to find Vanessa already there, scrolling through her phone or reheating leftovers. But the house was empty. Quiet in that eerie way that makes your skin prickle. Her keys weren't in the bowl. Her gym bag wasn't by the door. I checked my phone. No missed calls. No texts. I waited. By 8 p.m., I texted, "You okay? Running late?" No response. By 10, I texted again. "Let me know you're safe." Still nothing. I knew where she was. I knew. But knowing didn't make it hurt any less. I left the lights on, set the table for 2, heated up dinner and let it grow cold while I stared at the empty chair across from me. I wasn't even angry anymore, just hollow. I didn't eat. I just sat there, staring at the spot where she should have been, and wondered how I had become so invisible to the person I built my entire life around. Around midnight, she finally texted. "Hey, sorry. Crashed at Jess's place after a late gym class. You were already asleep, so I didn't want to bug you. Love you. Jess." Right. I stared at the screen, fingers frozen, and that's when I realized I wasn't married anymore. Not really. The woman I vowed to love and protect had become a stranger, capable of lying to my face like it was nothing. That night, I slept on the couch again, not because I had to, not because we fought, but because I couldn't bear to be next to her anymore. And I knew, deep down. The next time she left, she'd come back to an empty house. From that night on, I stopped reacting and started planning. Every move became calculated. I began collecting the pieces I'd need for a clean, quiet escape. The first step was backing up everything. Screenshots of her texts, the hotel GPS pin, her email draft, even the gym parking lot photos. I saved them all to a hidden folder and uploaded them to a private cloud. Next, I started packing. Not suitcases, not yet. Just small things. A favorite watch. Important documents. My childhood photos. 1 or 2 pieces each day stashed in my car when she wasn't looking. She thought I was heading to work early, but I was making trips to a storage unit I rented under a fake name. The lawyer said I was doing everything right. He told me timing was everything. That the courts often side with the one who looks more prepared, more reasonable. So I made sure I looked calm, rational, and emotionally stable, even while she was out doing God knows what. I also transferred the rest of the money. All the leftover savings, the rainy day fund we were supposed to use for a vacation. I figured this counted. One night, she came home glowing. "Mark gave me this amazing massage after class," she said, not even realizing she'd slipped. "Mark?" I asked, keeping my tone flat. "Oh, my trainer," she said quickly. "I told you about him." She hadn't, but I smiled and nodded like it didn't matter, like I was still clueless. She poured herself a glass of wine and sat down to watch TV, and I sat across from her, rehearsing the goodbye I'd never say out loud. Because the real revenge would be leaving so silently, she wouldn't even hear the door close. It was the calmest I'd felt in weeks. I woke up early, even before my alarm, and just stared at the ceiling. I knew this was it. The last morning I'd ever spend in that house. The last time I'd ever play the part of her husband. I made breakfast, eggs the way she liked them, scrambled soft with chives. Toasted bagel. Fresh coffee with a splash of almond milk. She came downstairs in her robe, yawning. "Wow, this is nice," she said, rubbing her eyes. "Felt like cooking for once," I replied, handing her a plate. She smiled, kissed me on the cheek. "Maybe we're turning a corner," she mumbled, half asleep. That almost broke me. For a second, I wanted to believe her. Wanted to freeze time right there. Pretend the past few months never happened. Pretend I wasn't leaving in 5 hours, but the truth was sitting right across from me, wearing a robe and sipping coffee like she hadn't destroyed the version of us I was willing to die for. We made small talk. She told me she had a noon Pilates class. I told her I might get off work early. She said maybe we could go to that new Thai place this weekend. I nodded, pretending to think about it. I kissed her goodbye at the door like I always did. Said, "Love you," like it still meant something. And she smiled, completely unaware that by the time she got back from the gym, everything in that house would be gone. No warning, no fight, no closure, because this time I wasn't leaving like a broken man. I was walking out as someone she'd never get to betray again. The second the door shut behind her, I moved. No hesitation. No second guessing. I'd rehearsed this day 100 times in my head. Now it was real. I started in the bedroom, took the suitcase I'd hidden behind the dresser and packed the last of my clothes. Grabbed my watch box, the passport folder, the hard drive with all my files. I left her side of the closet untouched. In the living room, I unplugged the TV, took the gaming console, the soundbar, the framed pictures I'd bought. The Wi-Fi router too, out of pure spite maybe, but I didn't care. The kitchen was next. I took the coffee machine, the knives, even the damn spice rack. Every item I'd paid for with my overtime hours, every piece she barely noticed or thanked me for. It all went. Furniture? Mine, I had receipts. The couch, the dining table, the office chair, all packed into a moving truck I'd scheduled under a fake name and paid for in cash. The last thing I did? I left the envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside was a signed divorce petition, a printed copy of the hotel receipt from 2 weeks ago, and a note written on the back of a dealership brochure, the one with the red convertible she never got. While you were with him, I was building a life without you. Enjoy the silence. You earned it. No goodbye, no confrontation, no dramatic scene, just emptiness. I looked around the hollow apartment one last time. It felt like walking through a crime scene. Only the victim was trust. Then I locked the door behind me, dropped the keys in the mailbox, and walked away, and with every step, I felt a little less married. And a little more free. My phone started buzzing before I even made it to the freeway. First a call, then a text. Then another. Where are you? What did you do? You're being dramatic. Just come home so we can talk. I didn't respond. I didn't even open the texts. I just stared at the screen while they poured in, her name flashing again and again like it still meant something to me. But it didn't. There was nothing left to say. Nothing she could offer me that I hadn't already bled out trying to earn. The moment I stepped out of that house, I stopped being the man who begged for her attention. I stopped being the man who fought for a woman who wasn't fighting for him. I blocked her number before noon. Then I blocked her on social media too. Deleted the wedding photos. Removed the married status. Gone. Like it had never existed. I didn't cry. Not even once. I thought I would, but I didn't, because she'd already taken every tear I had to give. I drove to my buddy Eric's place, the same one who first warned me. He opened the door, looked at the bags in my hand, and just nodded. "You did it," he said. I nodded back. "Yeah, I'm done." That night, I slept on a worn-out couch in his spare room with nothing but my duffel bag and my silence. And still, it was the most peaceful sleep I'd had in months, because no matter how many times she called, begged, or lied, the part of me that cared was already dead and buried. About 3 days after I disappeared, the public meltdown began. I hadn't said a word to anyone outside my inner circle. I didn't make a post, didn't air it out, didn't expose her, but I underestimated how fast word travels, especially when people notice your entire house is empty and your wife's social media suddenly turns dramatic. That's when a mutual friend texted me a screenshot. It was a post from Vanessa's Facebook. He abandoned me with no warning. No explanation. I came home to nothing. Not even a goodbye. 5 years of marriage. Erased. Below it, the comments started rolling in. Mostly sympathy on at first. OMG, are you okay? He sounds like a monster. You deserve better. But then, a guy from her gym chimed in. Didn't you cheat on him with Mark, though? Silence. Then another comment. Didn't you tell me you were leaving him after he bought you that car? And just like that, her victim narrative collapsed. I didn't have to lift a finger. I didn't need to defend myself. The truth leaked out in pieces, small, sharp ones that cut through her lies. People started questioning her, unliking the post, messaging me privately, asking if I was okay. I didn't reply to any of them. What was there to say? She wanted to play the victim for attention. But when people saw the cracks, they backed away. Even her own friends started going quiet. I didn't get joy out of watching her squirm, but I'll admit, there was something deeply satisfying about watching her try to control the story and completely lose the plot. It's been 8 months since I walked out of that house. At first, I expected to feel regret, guilt, maybe even loneliness. But instead, I felt peace. This strange, steady calm I hadn't felt in years. Like I'd finally stopped holding my breath. I live in a small apartment now. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine. Every piece of furniture in it, every plate, every lamp, I chose it. No shared decisions. No tiptoeing around someone else's moods. Just silence, and for the first time, that silence feels like home. I go to the gym now, funny enough. Not to chase abs or revenge, but to remind myself I still exist, that my body deserves care too. And a few weeks ago, I did something bold. I bought the car, not for her. For me, a used red convertible. Clean, simple mine. I drive it with the top down sometimes. Let the wind hit my face. I play my music too loud. I laugh without looking around to see who's watching. People think revenge has to be loud, explosive. But the truth is, sometimes the loudest thing you can do is leave, no yelling, no begging, no closure conversations, just silence. And let that silence echo in the places where they used to have power. Vanessa reached out once, through a mutual friend, said she wanted closure, said she understood now. I told him to pass along a message. Tell her I'm good. Tell her I don't hate her. Tell her I just finally love myself more. He said she didn't reply, and that's fine, because the story doesn't end with her. It ends with me, whole, healing, and finally, free.